The Neopets fandom is currently facing a crisis of the likes that I've never seen before. It's just straight up not having a good time. Here's a quick timeline leading up to the events of today. On September 22nd, 2021, the Neopets team announced an NFT collaboration called the Neopets Metaverse Collection. On September 28th, 2021, I released a video explaining what that means and some of the early issues, including the Neopets Twitter managers not knowing about the collaboration and calling it a scam. Later that same day, the official Neopets Metaverse Collection Discord featured some anti-LGBT language that was not addressed by the Neopets team for 6 days. On October 7th, 2021, the Neopets Metaverse website launched their roadmap, featuring 3 separate phases of the features that they would like to roll out in the Neopets Metaverse Collection game. Following that announcement, Jellyneo.net, the largest Neopets fan site featuring guides, commentary, and a repository of all Neopets content, announced that they would feature a blackout on their homepage in protest of the NFT project from October 8th through October 10th. Today, October 10th, the Neopets Metaverse tweeted a condescending explanation of what NFTs are and then deleted that tweet chain within 2 hours of it being live in response to the overwhelming backlash that it received. The premise of the tweet chain was that those who are against NFTs simply do not understand what they are. Their little pea brains just can't wrap themselves around the very simple concept of what a blockchain is and the very simple concept of what NFTs are. Because if you're against it, you must just not understand it. And this tweet chain conveniently left out all valid criticisms of the project. If you haven't watched it yet, I recommend that you go watch my previous video because I will not be re-establishing some of the basic concepts, but instead we're going to focus on the events that have unfolded since my last video, and I'm going to talk a little bit about why people are boycotting Neopets, what the implications of this boycott are, what I honestly believe is going to be the fallout of this scenario, the different paths that it could take, and then we're going to talk a little bit about NFTs and why this scandal is as large as it is. The inciting event that kicked off the blackout and boycott of Neopets was the Neopets Metaverse Collection website releasing a blog post that outlined the roadmap for their game. There are a couple of different elements of this blog post that cause concern and an outcry. The first one that we'll go over is a disconnect between the different teams and their communication of responsibilities and what this project is going to look like. So according to the Neopets.com core team, there will be nobody from their team managing, developing, implementing the NFT game. However, in this roadmap, the roadmap specifically outlines that the update is brought to you by the Neopets team, project owner and lead of the Neopets Metaverse Collection NFT. Unrelated side note, this is a hilarious example of why the Oxford comma is so important. The way that this is described, it's the Neopets team, comma, project owner, and lead. So that's either describing the Neopets team or it is listing 3 separate entities. In my opinion, it is trying to list 3 separate entities, but this is why the Oxford comma is so controversial, because you could just as easily argue that they are describing the Neopets team as the project owner and lead of the Neopets Metaverse Collection NFT. So according to the Neopets.com, they are separate, they operate autonomously. It's not a buy-in from both sides, but according to the Neopets Metaverse Collection, it is a buy-in by both sides. And this disconnect has caused a lot of discomfort in the core Neopets community, who sees that the website is down and is widely inaccessible and non-functional, and they don't want to see resources being allocated from the Neopets.com property to work on this side project that they don't see as relevant to them or to the success of the Neopets franchise. That's the first concern. The second concern is more about interpretation of the roadmap. So the roadmap outlines a metaverse game where users can deploy and build games, and there could be currency and your pet can get experience points. Like, have these people even played Neopets before? I know a lot of them claim they have, but if you could point to me where the experience points are on a Neopet, I would be thankful, because I've been playing for 2 decades and I don't know what an experience point is. But anyways, there's going to be this whole decentralized game around the NFT assets. The way that this has been interpreted by a large amount of the Neopets core player base is that the Neopets website is going to be replaced by this decentralized new Neopet that is absolutely unrelated to any of the IP established on neopets.com. This is a pretty popular interpretation of the roadmap. I do believe that it is a misinterpretation. I do not believe it is accurate. From my understanding, Neopets.com is still going to operate autonomously, and none of that is going to get replaced by the Neopets Metaverse collection. This is an interpretation that it appears as though Jellyneo is spreading, and that I've seen on the Facebook Neopets Nation group and also the subreddit, that I fundamentally disagree with. I believe this is a scenario where the Neopets collection is claiming something bigger and broader to give itself more credibility, but it has simply not been backed up by any of the information on the neopets.com website, and also fundamentally doesn't make any sense that they would have the capabilities to do something of that scale. The Neopets.com IP is completely unrelated, and I do not think that you should anticipate an experience where you're going to have the Neopets NFTs replicating the giant omelet. I simply do not believe that that is going to happen. Those are kind of the big concerns that led to the blackout that Jellyneo is hosting. Jellyneo said that this is the final straw. If they are going to continue to have this kind of disconnect between the two websites of neopets.com and the Neopets Metaverse's website, giving two very different narratives about the stakes and the implications of this project, then Jellyneo said that is too much, especially with their interpretation that this new Metaverse game will replace the core game. That is what led to the Jellyneo announcement of the blackout. If you haven't read it, I do recommend going to visit the Jellyneo Blackout page, as it is very thorough and it outlines all of their concerns, starting back from we don't think that this suits the brand, to we don't agree with the roadmap, to we don't agree with the NFTs that are being minted, their quality does not match the quality of the game, to also it's not a child-friendly brand the way that it's being carried out by the Neopets Metaverse collection, despite the core website always being child-friendly, family first. This is none of those things. Following the announcement that Jellyneo was going to host a blackout, I saw some messaging on the internet that people were going to boycott the site during this time, and I threw in my hat and I released a YouTube short saying that I was going to boycott as well. I've heard from many of you that you also decided to participate in the boycott. The reason why I decided to boycott Neopets is because I so deeply respect what Jellyneo is doing. It's not just Jellyneo, it's also Dress to Impress. It's so many fan sites. Neostalgia, the podcast, they released a fantastic podcast episode where I was just laughing very hard about their coverage of the Metaverse collection, and they were standing with Jellyneo as well. The thing about Jellyneo is that it is ran by fans. People who love Neopets, who have been playing Neopets sometimes on a daily basis for the last 2 decades. Those are the people who are upset about what's going on. Because of the blackout, there is a boycott going on. And since Jellyneo has started to stand up against this, I have seen a wave of people canceling their Neopets subscriptions. Neopets has a service called Premium, where users get certain in-game advantages from paying about $9 a month. and I have seen a wave of unsubscriptions like I have never seen in my Neopets career. I've been playing Neopets for about 20 years. There have always been scandals and controversies on Neopets.com, and there have always been things that made people say, like, Neopets is over, Neopets is over party. And I had my own Neopets is over moment in January of this year, where I said, I grieve what we have lost, and I assume I will still make some videos here and there, but at the end of the day, I'm not emotionally invested anymore. And it has been daunting to me, the amount of other passionate Neopets users who have approached me in the last week and a half, telling me that they fundamentally believe that Neopets is over and that they are withdrawing their support. And so this runs the gamut. It's all levels of involvement with the site and dedication, from people who just casually play and watch my videos to people who have done professional work with the Neopets team saying that they are now done and they will not be participating in any professional work with Neopets anymore, despite having supported the brand for most of their lives. I work at a software company where our product is an app, and we track the monthly active users. I do believe that the attention and press from launching this NFT project has probably brought some attention to the neopets.com domain and had some sort of impact on the monthly active users. However, I would be willing to bet a sizable amount of money that the outcome from this launch, this announcement, and the following blackout of Jellyneo and boycott of the site is going to have a long-term impact on the number of monthly active users, something that is crucial for websites to prove their worth to investors, funders, the CEO to his boss. It's not going to have a good impact long term. I would be willing to put money on that, and I am not much of a gambler. I stayed at a casino this week while I was filming a documentary, and I did not gamble any of my own money. Like, honestly, I'm not a gambling person. I'm pretty positive that this is going to have a very long-term negative impact. And the amount of people that I've seen participating in the boycott or saying that they are canceling premium, I fundamentally believe that if somebody is moved to the point of boycott for 3 days, I believe that there is a very real chance that they will not return to the site, because it requires that much of a disruption for them to say, this is emotionally disturbing to me, that I will leave for 3 days. It's not a huge leap for them to go from 3 days to forever. I wouldn't be surprised if we see at least 10% of users who participate in the boycott not returning to Neopets ever. And why would they? There are so many virtual pet games in browser environments that are so much more compelling and better built than Neopets is, who haven't eroded goodwill with their user base for the last 10 years. It's frustrating and it's sad. I don't know what my involvement with Neopets is going to look like moving forward. Now let's just get to the topic that was just simply the most enraging event that I've experienced in probably my entire Neopets career. Today, this morning, October 10th, the Neopets Metaverse collection shared a 17-part Twitter thread explaining what NFTs are to the haters. Because if you're against it, it must mean that your little pea brain just can't wrap itself around the idea of how genius NFTs are. And wouldn't it be nice if we just covered this all in one video, just straight through me just talking about the events of October 10th, and we just very succinctly wrapped it up, no emotions, straight through in under 20 minutes. Wouldn't that be beautiful? I'm actually having to re-record this segment because I think that you guys deserve like a really thorough explanation of what happened, but also a concise explanation of what happened. So I don't think it's right for me to release an hour-long video on this topic. So instead, I'm releasing this part about the boycott right now, and then I'm re-recording, rewriting the second part that is about what happened on October 10th. If you are a Patreon supporter, I have uploaded the original full video. It's 23 minutes long for you guys to watch, and it doesn't cover everything, but it is what I thought I would be uploading today. And there's no editing, like there's no graphics overlaid. It's just me talking at a camera. That is available to all my Patreon supporters. I just don't think that it is as complete and as effective as what I can make. So thank you for watching. Please give me feedback on what you think I need to cover, because I'm going to be doing what I can to make sure it covers everything without being too exhaustive, without dwelling on any one part for too long. So thank you guys for all your support. I appreciate it. I do not want to make more videos after the next one where I talk about the Twitter thread. It is going to be the last Neopets Metaverse video I do. So if you do have suggestions or concerns, please let me know in the comments. All right, thanks. Bye.